Okay, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk? Oh, you're welcome. Actually.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to, in celebration of Black History Month, I wanted to start the meeting with a quote from W.B. Du Bois. Believe in life. All human beings will progress to greater, broader, and fuller life. The worker must work for the glory of his handiwork, not simply for pay. The thinker must think for truth, not for fame. Either America will destroy ignorance or ignorance will destroy the United States. We hope not. I'm very optimistic. And with that, I will do the statement of proper notice. Adequate notice of this meeting of Lawrence Township Council being held on Tuesday, February 20, 2024, has been provided through the posting of the annual meeting schedule of the said council in accordance with Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act. Said notice was forwarded to the Trentonian, the Times, and the Princeton Packet on December 11, 2023. We will now have an inspiration from our Madam Clerk.
May we carry out our work at this meeting in a just, honorable, and sincere manner, always bearing in mind our duties and continuing to keep Lawrence a wonderful community in which to live. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Bobbitt?
Here.
Mr. Kanaki?
Here.
Ms. Perry?
Here.
Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Mayor Farmer?
Here. At this time, do we have any special proclamations, recognitions, and/or presentations?
We just had the budget, the 2024 department head budgets, starting with our chief of police.
Chief Longo, please.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. Thank you. Mayor. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Township Manager Nowinski, Mr. Sypek, Ms. Clerk, Tanya. I'm happy to stand up here tonight and present the 2024 budget. And pull this out, I'm going to move around a little bit, I can't stay still. For the police department, what I just gave to you was the 2023 year-end report. That's a comprehensive report on the operations of the police department through 2023. There's a lot of good information in there. If you look through it, it'll answer a lot of questions that you have about the operations of the police department through 2023. I wanted to introduce my command staff and their responsibilities, just so you understand how we operate. Captain Joe Leck, he's our patrol captain. He is in charge of the uniformed officers. Lieutenant Sean Sexton and Lieutenant R.J. Laird are lieutenants of the patrol division, and they again supervise the uniformed police officers. Lieutenant Mike Whitmore is our administrative lieutenant. He handles our internal affairs, our accreditation, OPA requests, and a lot of the administrative functions of the police department. And Lieutenant Kevin Redding is our investigative division commander. He oversees our detectives, our juvenile division, our ABC, our Megan's Law. He oversees a lot of the investigative functions of the police department. Through 2023, we were staffed with 60 full-time police officers. That's on paper. We'll see how I'll go into more detail about that as we go on. One full-time special law enforcement one. That's an unarmed law enforcement officer. He also acts as our code enforcement officer as well. 5 full-time SLEO 3 officers that work in the schools. They're our school officers. 2 full-time records clerks. 1 full-time confidential assistant to the chief of police. That's my direct assistant. and 2 part-time records and detective bureau clerks that kind of share responsibilities through records and the detective bureau. We also have 1 part-time property and evidence clerk. He handles a lot of our electronic evidence, uploading body camera to the courts and handles functions like that. 2023 was a really good year for us. We were able to replace a lot of the officers that we lost through retirements, through vacancies. And, you know, replacing those officers in a timely manner, we always hear about a year to train those officers. But after they're trained, they have to go through field training. And then after that, they have to, you know, have some experience. And we'll see where our experience level through the turnover in the department. We're a very young department. Through our creative management and leadership styles, we had a little bit of a paradigm shift in our management style. We've increased the internal morale of the officers and the employees over 2023, which has led to increased productivity. We've continued to improve the community relations with the community, and our police department reputation has really improved through 2023. We've gotten more involved with county and state initiatives such as Tactical Response Team, Homicide Task Force, Cyber Crimes Unit, Mercer County Rapid Response Team, the Drone Task Force, and our Incident Management Team. We have officers that participate in all those initiatives. And again, I'm sure everybody has seen our new police car designs that are a little bit more visible and stand out in the community. So hopefully everybody likes those. We're pretty happy with those. The police department has again continued to improve communication with the community. Anyone who's emailed me or gone back and forth through email, I have this saying at the bottom: the hearing from our community is an essential part of providing quality police service. And you'll see through the presentation, that's what we're based our service on through the community is what our residents are looking for. One of those initiatives was the traffic email. Vast majority of the complaints that come into the police department are traffic related. So we opened up the email for some dialogue back and forth. It's been very successful. We've increased our social media presence by 46% over 2023 with the officer spotlight, which has been a pretty big hit. Safety messages, sharing our police department's involvement in the community and stuff like that. It's been, we've been very successful with that. We held our first police department open house for the community last spring. We're going to hopefully do that again, which again, very successful. We significantly increased the training for leadership and management through the police department. We've also increased the training for all of our police officers. Excuse me. The community events that we partake in, we co-sponsored the annual egg hunt with our recreation department, along with Trunk or Treat, National Night Out, Coffee with a Cop. We held our first car show and food drive at the Lawrence Shopping Center in November, which we hope to do again. We partnered with the police union, the FOP, for that. Our toy drive, community meetings, spoke at the senior center, some school faculty meetings. I'm speaking in March to the Rider University retired faculty there about some safety concerns that they had. With all the good that went on in 23, we did have some challenges. We lost 5 officers to retirements, 2 lieutenants, 1 detective, 1 information technology officer, and a traffic officer. We also had 2 transfers and 1 resignation, collectively 135 years of police experience. It's a lot of institutional knowledge and job knowledge leaving. We trained 11 new officers through 2023. It was about 20% of our department, which is a big number for us. Not all 11 were hired in 23. Some were hired in 22 and trained in 23. Some were hired and trained in 23, but 20% of our department we trained in 23. As I said in my last budget presentation, at no time during 2023 did I expect to have 60 police officers fit fully for duty. And that's exactly what happened. We have 5 officers that were out during the year. We lost 2 officers since 2020, 1 since 21, and 2 since 22. And I'll say the same thing that I said before. I don't expect to have 60 officers. We will have them on paper, but I won't have 60 officers available to work anytime through 2024. As a result of the retirements, which, you know, we kind of forecasted for and knew that this was coming, half of our patrol division has less than 3 years experience. 74% has less than 5 years experience. So when I said that it takes a year to train a police officer, it takes about 5 years of experience for that police officer to get to a point where they're really comfortable in their own skin to go out there and do the job properly and without a whole lot of direction. So 74% of our department has less than 5 years. That puts a big job on our sergeants and our supervisors out here, and they've really done a fantastic job. Our young guys have really done a good job studying when they're not working and doing their best to get up to speed for us. So we appreciate that. And 94 of our patrol officers have less than 10 years. This was just a stat that I thought was pretty important. The census reporting, Lawrence Township has grown in population 28.27% since 1990. This is in addition to the increase in retail and commercial development in the town. If you look at the red arrow, that was 1990, we had 61 officers. And if you look at 2023, we have 60 officers. So when we talk about the oversight that's come down from the Attorney General's office, police licensing, mandatory training, de-escalation training, administrative reporting to the state and the Attorney General's office, we've gotten a lot more work on both ends, not even only on the road, but also administratively. And we're working with the same amount of officers. That's another true testament to the officers that you see out here. They really give a full day's work and earn their pay. 2023 operations, there's consistent oversight from the Attorney General's office coming out, mandatory training, police licensing, reporting. There's new initiatives and directives that come down almost on a monthly, if not a bi-weekly basis from either the AG's office or the prosecutor's office that we're required to follow. And it has affected and changed the police operations, not just for Lawrence Township, but for policing throughout the state. And again, it's specific to supervision and the administrative functions of the police department. We talk about overall calls for service. I know Keith Levine, when he was up here, he talked about mental health. Our mental health calls were up 20% from 2022 to 2023. 213 in 2023 from 177 in 22. And we'll talk a little bit about what is involved with mental health calls. They're very volatile, very sensitive calls, and it takes a little bit of an extra skill set to deal with those calls. Shoplifting is up 53%. Our motor vehicle stops up 57%. Again, I attribute this to our traffic email. The traffic email I've made available to all of our supervisors, command staff, so when the complaints come in or the concerns come in, everyone sees them, they see them live, and they're addressed immediately. Excuse me. Warrant arrests up 15%, and our domestic violence is up 2%. We had 239 domestic violence incidents in Lawrence Township last year. This is pretty remarkable. Between 2009 and 2023, our mental health calls for service went up 363%. And if you look at the graph here, once COVID hit, it's been a steady incline since 2019. And again, just from 2022 to 23, it's gone up over 20%. So how are we addressing the mental health calls for service? The Attorney General in 2023 put together an initiative called Arrive Together. The Arrive Together initiative is where a uniformed police officer rides in a vehicle with a mental health worker, and essentially they ride on these calls together, arrive together. It requires the officers to be CIT trained or critical intervention trained, which is a 40-hour training class. We have 4 CIT trained officers. We have a master CIT instructor, Detective Sean Kearns, who's one of the lead instructors for the county. And we have 1 officer scheduled to attend that training in March. We were also selected to be a pilot program for that Arrive Together program. So we were right in on the ground level for that. Mercer County, the Arrive Together, they have adopted a referral system, which means when the officers go there, they make a referral to the Capitol Health Crisis Unit, and they will have someone follow up with that person in crisis within 24 hours. If it's emergency, then we do still have mobile response come out, but their response times could be anywhere from 30 minutes to several hours, and that doesn't include their on-scene evaluation. Another uptick is the opioid addiction. Every police car in Lawrence Township does have naloxone, the generic of what is Narcan, which we're familiar with. Last year, we responded to 36 incidents of drug overdoses. Okay, and you can see on the next slide that that's up. It's a little just about double. We had 33 patients suffering from drug overdose, 27 successful reversals that our officers reversed the effects of opioid overdose, and unfortunately, we did have 6 fatalities. If you look at these numbers, again, remarkable numbers from 2022 to 2023, we more than doubled our overdose calls from 17 to 36. Our officers deployed Narcan 33 times in 2023 from only 13 in 2022, and we tripled our fatalities. So the officers are going to overdoses on a regular basis. They're proficient in administering the Narcan, and these are the numbers. We don't see it getting any better. We're already on par to go past these numbers this year. Our drug and alcohol rehabs, we have approximately 6 in the town, and I took the statistics from just one facility. I think it's important for council to understand the amount of time and effort that how we work together with these facilities and the amount of time that we spend there. In 2022, we went to 69 calls for service at this one facility, spent 163 almost man hours at that one facility. In 2023, 111 calls at the same facility for about 185 man hours. Total in 2 hours, 300 and almost 50 hours of time. And if you take that 185 man hours from 2023, that's the equivalent to taking one police officer off the road for 15 and a half shifts. So we spend a considerable amount of time there. Traffic, our total traffic crashes are up only 2%. And when the National Highway Traffic Safety Board looks, they don't look at the total number of crashes, they look at the number of crashes with injuries. And crashes with injuries were down 30%. We're also down with bicycle-involved crashes. The one that we're see a spike in is pedestrian-involved crashes. We've already had one pedestrian-involved fatal crash already this year on Route 1. Traffic complaints, like I said, are the vast majority of the complaints we get from the community. The traffic email has been a great help to us and to the community for us to open up a dialogue, and we come up with ways to go out and address the community's concerns. So commercial traffic stops up 338% in 2023. That's a direct correlation to the traffic email. The complaints mostly of heavy trucks going through Main Street, speeding, and heavy truck violations. We also have another initiative in the police department. It's called 3 Streets a Week. We take the data that we get from the traffic email and our crash data, and we put out 3 streets per week for the officers to focus on. They still conduct traffic enforcement throughout the town, but 3 areas that they focus on. And this is an example of what that flyer that goes out to our patrol officers look like. The traffic incident management system, this is something that I'm particularly proud of. I wanted to bring up. Statistically, 10 to 15 officers are killed each year while working in or near moving traffic. I'm happy to say we are the only police department in Mercer County where every one of our police officers is certified by the state police and DOT as TIM certified officers. And that means that they're trained in the proper response, placement of vehicles, emergency vehicles, and how to conduct themselves on the roadway and live traffic. RJ Laird, Lieutenant RJ Laird is a state certified instructor. We're lucky to have him. He brought in representatives from the state police and DOT, and they came in and certified all of our officers. Lastly, 2024 budget expense requests. There's 3 in particular that I want to talk about: the security fence, CAD system, and the traffic trailer. If you come over, I'm sure everybody's seen it. You come over 206 southbound towards the municipal complex, and you look over to the right. The back of the police department is completely exposed. You can see the ambulance there. This is from the parking lot of the back of the police department. You can see how close the roadway is. So what is a security fence going to do? It's going to create some privacy. We have our officers back there. We have victims, prisoners, juveniles that walk in and out of the police department. And if you come down 206, you can pretty much have a full view of the back of our headquarters. At some points during the day with the lighting, you can actually see down our administrative hallway from 206. There's also the Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness does have regulatory standards. With that, the back of our headquarters being open, we don't meet them. So a security fence would also help bring us into compliance with Homeland Security's compliance standards. And again, just a couple more pictures. You can see how close that white car is there on the exit ramp to the back of the police department. There is a chain link fence that the state has erected there. But even in the summertime, when the plants grow and stuff there, it's just not covered enough. There's not enough privacy. You can see how open it is from different directions. Next is the traffic trailer. We're looking for a variable message sign. This is a speed sign, so we could put it out where there's not officers. We get so many complaints about speeding on different residential areas. We can put this traffic trailer out there and it could act as an officer. Virginia Department of Highway Traffic Safety did a study that when drivers do see an electronic speed sign, it tends to slow the drivers down. For instance, in town, Public Works had erected 2 speed signs for us between Lake Drive and the Wayhead Circle on Route 1. We were inundated with complaints about speeding since those signs have been up. Not every piece of what we have here. We have really received no complaints about speeding. They are super effective. The effectiveness is it slows traffic down, it slows drivers down. They're remote operable, so we can control them. We can change the sign, the speed limit. We can collect traffic study data right from that trailer remotely. It's versatile. You can deploy it pretty much anywhere, and we can use it in emergency situations for detours, and it does improve the safety on crash sites. Lastly, our CAD system, our current CAD system, it's a computer-aided dispatch. This is the system that we use to track calls for service, generate our case numbers. It's our record management system. This is where the police officers complete their police reports. This is where our records department takes those police reports and gathers them to release them to the courts and to insurance companies and anyone who wants a copy. It's also the system that generates crime stats that we have to report to the state, and it also reports our crash data to the state repository. So our current CAD system is from, we put it in effect in April of 2008, and just to be blunt, it's outdated. The software updates have not kept up with the needs of law enforcement, and I'll explain a little bit about it. The CAD system that we're looking for has been tried and proven. It's recommended by the state police. It's called Enforces. It has no physical server. Right now, our CAD system has a physical server. It's cloud-based. It updates remotely for software. It removes the necessity for hardware maintenance. It does not need to replace the CAD server, which is typically a cost of average about $20,000 every 3 or 4 years that we spend. The support offers 24-hour support, which we do not have right now. And it also allows us to complete crash reports in the CAD system, in that Enforces system, which a lot of the CAD systems don't. The state has created a different repository, which we would have to use a separate records management system for to pull data for crash reports. So if we went to something else, we would have 2 separate records management systems, one for crashes, one for criminal reports. We all heard about UCR reports or Uniform Crime Reports. They were very broad reporting numbers, and the state said, or the government didn't like the way that they were being reported. So it was just very basic larceny, burglary. The new reporting system that came out in 2018 is called NIBRS. It's a National Incident-Based Reporting System. It's much more comprehensive in reporting crimes. So this, right now, Lieutenant Redding, he spends about 45 to 60 hours a month reporting our crime stats. Because of our CAD and the way it captures the coding from the reports, they don't always transfer over to the state system. So those reports get rejected. We don't have the technology to just fix them and re-upload them. It takes us about a month to be able to re-upload them. The new system would do that automatically for us. It would save us a considerable amount of time. It's compatible with the state repository. It requires little or no human interaction. And we have such a backlog of reports that have not been accepted by the state that the state police actually assigned a trooper to come out from their unit to work with us to try to bring us up into compliance. Our computer system just does not communicate with the state. It would also replace our CopLogic system, which is an online report for non-emergency reports. We had 289 online reports filed by the community last year. These are reports like forgery or frauds that, a lot of credit card companies will say, you need a case number and we'll investigate it. This is a way for people to go online, complete the report, get a case number, and document their incident. Right now, it's about $9,000 a year that we pay for this CopLogic. system. The new CAD system enforces would take care of that. It has a mechanism for online reporting, so we could get rid of that cop logic reporting. And I have so much more. I could stand up here for hours and talk about the police department and what a great job these guys. I'd like to thank all the officers for coming out tonight, family and the community. And if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I have a list. Thank you, Chief
You're
Longo.
welcome.
So currently you mentioned that we're at 60 full-time police officers, but how many are expected in 2024?
So 60 police officers is what we're capped at right now for manpower. So how many would I like? We're at the limit. 60 is the limit right now. So I would, we definitely need to add to the department. But 60 is the number that council has capped us at.
Ideally, what would be the number?
I mean, ideally, we should probably, to operate perfect world, close to 80. If we could get up to mid to high 60s, and work our way up. Yeah, a lot of the administrative work, our officers sitting out here, most of them have been held, they get held over their shift almost daily, working overnight from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and then being held until 11 a.m. the next day is brutal. These guys do it on a regular basis. They smile, they don't call out sick the next day, they come back to work and they continue to do a great job. So thankfully for that.
And what do you contribute your increased morale to?
I think anytime there's a change in leadership, the new leader has an opportunity to do things the way they want. I think we're over the honeymoon phase now. The fact that I've been chief for just about 2 years and we have this many officers showing up here, the command staff is here. We just have a good environment. We have good leadership. We have a good command staff. We have officers that take pride in their job, and we have a good thing going right now.
Being that you have such a young force, what is some additional training that you're providing to them since they are riding alone, correct?
So yeah, now everybody's pretty much on their own. I think we have 2 left that are still in field training. There's a time between when you come out of field training and you start riding on your own that you have to gain some experience before we start sending you to training. Some of the training classes you need a little bit of experience to really grasp the meaning of the training. So de-escalation, all the officers coming out now are trained in de-escalation. We just had in-service training today for juvenile crimes, mental health, CPR. We got everyone in the department certified in radar. There was a time not too long ago that we didn't have one single radar certified police officer, which, we got that taken care of. We reached out to, I can tell you, South Brunswick Police Department, and they trained our guys for free because of the relationship that we have with them. So there's a multitude of training.
And approximately how many hours of de-escalation training are the new officers getting?
So there's something called ABLE and ICAT. They get in the academy. They're both 16-hour courses. And then we just did today 2.5, 3 hours. We do that several times a year. And then there's training classes. The academies hold them all the time. There's different crisis centers and other mental health professionals. Attorney General's office holds training. So as they come up, we routinely send the officers to the training, de-escalation.
And not too many more, sorry. What do you think are some of the hot buttons that are coming up in the community?
In our community, the catalytic converter thefts, the Kia thefts,
Yeah.
The petty burglaries of vehicles and stuff like that. The opioid addiction, we see that it's almost daily now. Domestic violence is pretty constant. And I know that they'll all agree when I say shoplifting. The shoplifting is a daily occurrence right now. We're up over 55%. I think it was 58%. We're up on shoplifting. Shoplifting isn't a crime where we just go, take a report and walk away. When we have a shoplifter, if they're in custody, we have to transport them back to the police department. We have to process them, fingerprint them, photograph them. and get them where they need to go, whether they're going up to the jail or they're being released. A shoplifter takes anywhere from, could take 2.5 hours. That takes 2 officers off. The other is mental health. Mental health, years ago, crisis would come out and they would sign a form saying that this person needs to go to the crisis center. And if you offered them, come on, let's go. If they didn't go, you would put them in handcuffs and you would escort them to the hospital. Now, with the de-escalation training, there's officers could be there 3, 4, 5 hours with mental health workers, 2, 3 officers off the road at a time.
What are the top spots that are being hit
For
shoplifting?
the Quaker Bridge Mall, Mercer Mall, the Nike store, ShopRite.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And my last question to you is 3-part. So what type of fence are you thinking for the security?
So I'd like a 9-foot fence. And the reason that I'm looking for a 9-foot fence, when you come over the highway on over 295, it's raised.
Mhm.
So you can kind of see over a little bit. But I guess we'll have to see how much money is budgeted, and I'll get the highest fence that I possibly can. But to be clear, this is the beginning. I'd like to next year add on to that fence and come down 206. I'm just being honest.
No. Don't piecemeal it. Give us what the
So
total.
I want, this year, the money is for a fence just along the back of the police department, along the exit ramp of 295. I want to add on to that next year, a little bit down 206 here. And I'd eventually like to put some type of gating system, whether it just be a toll gate or something down the road to stop the public from driving behind the police department. The guys will tell you on midnights, during the day, we have people constantly driving back there
Where the police cars are?
where the police cars are.
Why? They lost?
They just, I guess they try to turn around. They're not sure where they're going. We have signs. It's clearly marked police.
Yeah,
vehicles only, but yeah, there's constantly vehicles back there. We've even had someone parked back there overnight. They were sitting back there. Yeah.
Now, the fence that you're talking about it would be like a privacy fence, right?
Yeah.
Like concrete or.
Yep, it would be a privacy fence, so you couldn't see through, a solid privacy fence.
And do you have any concerns as far as cybersecurity with the new CAD system, since it's in the cloud?
So
What is the backup?
this CAD system, I'm not an IT person, but I'll do my best to answer. This CAD system has been used in a lot of other agencies for many years. We spoke to the state police. One of my biggest concerns is the NIGRS reporting, the crime reporting. It takes a tremendous amount of time. It's very labor intensive, and it's so convoluted and confusing that this system was the one that was recommended by the state police. The Mercer County Sheriff's Office uses it. Hopewell Township uses it. There's a lot of other police departments that use it. And we've spoken to a lot of the other departments. And Forces came out and did a demo for us. Everybody's been using it on the cloud system, and it's been fine.
And the last thing I want to ask is, have you ever partnered with Women's Space? It's scary to see the increase of domestic violence that's happening, and they're really in our backyard. So if there's any,
So-
has there been ever any?
Oh, yeah, so we partner with Women's Space. Women's Space is in our building probably 3 times a week. We're part of the domestic violence victims response team. Ryan Dunn, Sergeant Dunn back there is our Women's Space liaison. We attend all their functions. We have a really good relationship. Ryan is on the phone with them probably weekly. We have a great relationship with Women's Space and their services. We have the volunteer service for the domestic violence victims response team as well.
Thank you so much. I've taken up
welcome.
so much of your time.
That's all right.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I do. Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead.
Chief, thanks for the presentation as always.
No problem.
I think Commissioner Lewis would be still happy to hear crashes, not accidents. So thank you. I just want to say thanks for the very thorough presentation. And what I wanted to start off with was I appreciate you trying to increase the morale and sort of the relationships of the police department, both sort of working internally to externally. It's great to hear that although you're challenged with sort of manpower, number of officers that you can deploy, that you have that there's a positive feeling in the air. So that's great, even after the honeymoon, because we know how that works. And then externally, I've heard nothing but good things about the work that you've been doing in sort of meeting community groups, as well as, and I also want to say, you didn't mention this, but I'll say it for you. having some of the retirees come back and meet with the new officers and having coffee with them. I think that's so important when you have such a young force. One of the things that I've always taken pride in is sort of the proactive, sort of how the police has been, Lawrence Township Police Department has been proactive in how they police this community, and the care that they give to this community is incredible. It's one of those things that, you know, during 2020 and those challenging times, I had conversations with the police chief, and he met with everyone on council at the time, and a lot of the questions the community was asking of council had already been answered by this police force. And so I just wanted to say thank you to you and everyone on the police force for the really great job that you do. It's very conscientious, it's very thoughtful, and you know, the data that you gave shows a very changing dynamic of policing. You know, it's not just sort of chasing bad guys now. It's reviving people who are, ODing or other things like that. And so I guess my question to you is how can you, is there a way that you can either more, outside of more police officers, how can you manage those calls for service when, you know, there's a mental health case where an officer has to be there for a few hours, or a drug OD? Are there other ways to manage that? You know, more partnerships or anything like that?
Right. So one thing I didn't mention is we partner with Volunteers of America. Volunteers of America has a representative in our building 40 hours a week. They provide mental health services, drug addiction services. So they're there. We call them, they'll come out to the scene and they'll assist us. We don't leave them there, obviously, by themselves. So we still need to have officers on the scene, but they've been fantastic for us. We've partnered with Operation Helping Hands. Mm-hmm. We are partnering with other organizations. We try to educate. We do some education stuff on our social media. We partnered with Volunteers of America. Lieutenant Sexton is our liaison on Volunteers of America. They're setting up a community outreach for, I'm not sure where yet, but they're going to do it somewhere in town to assist with, they'll assist you with your public service bill, with getting housing, with drug addiction. They'll help you with a multitude of things. So we're going to set up a day where we'll publicize it, and the community will be able to come in and get any of the services that Volunteers of America offers as well.
Thank you. I also want to thank you for the work that you've done in the community. It has not gone unnoticed.
Thank you.
And also thank you for, you're also doing you were designated for a pilot program that you mentioned.
For the Arrive Together.
Arrive Together. Okay. So that's also very helpful. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right. So now moving on, we have, did you say something good? Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I would like to say one thing. I have been connected in some shape or form with the police department since I believe 1996, when I was the prosecutor, through being the township attorney, the judge, and now the municipal manager. And I will tell you that right now, in its present form, with its command level, staff, and patrol, it is in a really good place. And that's because of the leadership of all those individuals in the first row. It's been a pleasure to work with them, and I wanted to say that on the record. And the other thing I wanted to bring to your attention was the last time we've had a staffing assessment. In 2011, it was called a manpower assessment. A staffing assessment was in 2011, and I think it may be a good opportunity for us to take 2024 and start to set the parameters to do that in 2025 to see where we are. Technology has changed. We have changed how we have done business in the police department using civilian employees. So there's a lot of factors that are involved, but also the police are now responding to calls that were different than they were in the past. So all of this has to come into the mix. And I think it would be a really good idea for us to get an outside assessment done to see where we are situated presently and where we need to be in the future to better give the police the resources that they need and the community would need to have the appropriate level of staffing. It's going to be a process over an extended period of time. It's how we do things always. We don't just say, let's hire 10 new police officers. But knowing where we need to be over a 5-year plan is probably a good place to start.
Understood. We'll take that into consideration. It's a good recommendation.
Mayor, if I could, there's one last question I wanted to ask.
We're just quickly, because we're running out of time.
Chief, what do you see your staffing needs for next year in terms of loss, retirements versus new staff, new officers for the year?
That's a personnel question. I think we touched upon it when you said your ideal
Yeah.
number would be 80, but.
No, but I would, if we could get, so the issue is we're gonna keep reoccurring with
Retirement.
the retirements, and like I said, we're down to 55 right off the top minus anything else. We need to add 4 or 5 officers as soon as we can. That would put us at least to give us 60 officers that are showing up to work that we have fit for duty that we can put on the road.
Okay, thank you.
So I understand we have an adjustment. Yeah. We have an adjustment to the agenda with regards to Mr. Oakley will not be able to present this evening. And we're going to move on to Mr. Whitehead for Public Works. Thank you to the officers and the staff who are here this evening. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us tonight, Public Works. Tonight, our managerial staff's in the audience, and I'd be remiss not to focus on them for 1 second. Ed Soden, Kirk Kinney, Ian Williamson, Joe Solinsky, and no other than Janice Rakowski, who is the wheels of Public Works. And without her, we would not be nearly as efficient or do the things we do. And those are true professionals. They really are. And I like to thank the police and chief. We work really well together, whether it's on vehicles, facilities, storms, barricades, whatever the job is, we work really well together. My staff, their staff. And without that, we'd be in trouble, especially during emergencies. Snow, ice, black ice. We're all on the same page. So I really wanted to mention that. So I'll start with my presentation. This year, 2024, we have no new public works positions are being requested. We are moving along with our staffing the way it is. We have one new budget request is where we're going to increase, or we're requesting to increase the fire truck repair budget for $65,000 for 2024. And I'll talk more about that as we go through the presentation, why that is. The division summary, I'm the director. We have 3 folks in administration, 13 in our street division, 3 in our buildings and grounds, 11 in parks, 5 in vehicle maintenance. Our ecological facility at the moment is staffed by the street division. It's been that way for a long time. And we have summer and temporary staffing we mix in depending on our grants and our funding. Our public works employee reduction efforts over the years and this year is kind of the same formula. Shared services is always at our top of our list. Right now, our new garbage contract, we did not get a bid in on organic waste collection. So we had about 100 residents in that program. And besides Princeton, I believe we're the only town in New Jersey to have that program. I've reached out to a couple municipalities for a little think tank to see how we could start that program back up, sharing the service with another town. I don't know exactly how that's gonna look right now. That could be, we had a thought of a shared drop-off site at Public Works. We had a thought of maybe sharing a truck and an employee with another town. But there definitely is something out there in the community that wants this program going again. So we are looking at that. Contracted services, we've been increasing grass cutting contracts out to reduce staff. All but one of our janitorial staffing is now privatized. And cross-training is a big thing. Civil service does prevent a little bit of that, but we have a lot of cross-training going on at Public Works. That means if we're short-staffed, or especially during COVID, we could take somebody else from streets or parks and fill a hole temporarily until we get everybody back to work. Strategic equipment purchases, that's been so critical for our operation. With less people, we need to work smarter every day, smarter and safer. Everything we buy has a purpose more than that purpose. So what I mean by that, if I'm buying a truck, it's got to plow snow. If I buy another piece of equipment, we just bought a Ventrac machine. It blows leaves, it plows sidewalk snow, it aerates. Everything we buy, we have to be smart with the funding. Funding, as you know, is hard to come by. Every penny we get is really got to work for us for multiple things and for a long time. And when I mean a long time, I have pickup trucks at Public Works we've had for over 20 years. We take care of the equipment, and the tax dollars we use are used wisely. Computerized Public Works operation, our new work order system, our new complaint request automation system. The supervisors have iPads they take in their truck. They get their work orders that go right to the iPad. They're able to complete their work orders in the field. When they come back, it's downloaded to our system, and then Jan can see what's closed out or not closed out, because quite often a resident will call us back about a sinkhole, a dead tree, a broken fence, irrigation on one of the ball fields. You go down the list, graffiti, litter, broken sink in the men's room at Village Park. She's easily able to look that up to see if the job's closed out, if a part's on order, then we can close out the job and move on to something else. The vision crossover, that's been crucial in our Public Works department. We don't have 100 employees. Okay, so snow plowing, the whole department snow plows. The custodian snow plows, the mechanic snow plow, the parks employees snow plow. For us to plow out a 22 square mile town, every single person, including the folks sitting there, not Jan, are in a plow truck plowing. We have 200 lane miles of roads we have to clear, and we are in a different time now. When I started here a long time ago, you'd get maybe 1 or 2 phone calls in a snowstorm. Now we're inundated with calls, emails, texts, an hour after the snowstorm ends. Okay, it takes us hours to plow out the town once the snow stops. And there's no changing that unless you add it, double the size of the department. That's never going to change. So crossover, cross-training, same thing for leaf collection. We have to pick up thousands of tons of leaves in 8 weeks. The whole department does it. The park crew is out on the road doing it. Plus, they have all the parks to get done. Somehow Ian and Joe are able to craft that, giving ed employees while getting all the parks done during this time. And our ecological facility, just about everybody's trained to run the screener, the grinder, turn leaves, take temperatures, do everything that's required in our 25-page DEP manual that's given to us to run the facility. Main drivers this year, we're going to be opening up the new Hero Dog Park. Well, that takes maintenance. That's going to take labor hours away from our total pool labor hours. Business Route 1 landscape, and we've been handling that a while now. It's been going very well. The snow removal is a little challenging. Taking on a 2-lane highway, the length we have, plus all our municipal roads, is a little bit of a challenge, but the managerial staff here figured it out. I haven't had one phone call about snow removal problems on Route 1 since we took it over. And emergency snow removal, which I just touched on. So snow is a driver for everything I do, whether it's equipment or hiring people. I'm always thinking snow. I think snow in August. When I retire, I'll probably be thinking snow. Because snow is such a critical thing we do. There is no room for error. The storm last week, even though we got 4 inches, the whole town has to be plowed out. I can't salt away 4 inches of snow on 200 lane miles of roads. As it is, salt is almost $60 a ton. A storm like that will easily use 200-300 tons of salt. And the more salt I use, the more phone calls I get about the environment.
Yeah.
So it's a two-way thing. If I don't brine, I get phone calls, why didn't I brine? If I do brine, the dog's feet just got burned. I'm not kidding. So all those things are kind of a mixture of what we do. So I really wanted to talk. There's been a lot of talk, and I've had a lot of discussions with the manager. The Public Works facility's been flooded out a few times since I've been here. Major flooding. The last storm, we had $150,000 in damage. There's a sewer issue because there's a forced main on Baker's Basin that goes to the pump. Then it shoots across all the way down the Whitehead Road. Well, when we flood, that's pouring out of there into our facility. And that's what causes a lot of the damage. It's our only fueling site. So you could ask the chief what we need to do when we can't get fuel. It becomes a big problem. So we've been looking at an alternative fueling site to have an A and B site. When I first started here, there was a fueling site up here at Town Hall. It was underground tank. So over the years, I've gotten rid of, there's not an underground tank left in Lawrence. We got rid of all of them. But we're looking to do maybe a B site just for the police and ambulances as we move forward, because let's face it, we're not moving the Public Works facility. It's millions of dollars, and it's not gonna happen. So we have to do things now, think outside the box of how to make this work and how to get on with life, right? Something that really hit us this year is preparation of the facility for each storm. I think 3 times this summer into the fall with the storms, when there's a flood warning, we need to move all the vehicles out of public works, all the lawnmowers, all the trailers. We gotta move all the computers. We gotta move all the stock, make sure nothing's on the floor. We now have to knock windows out, set up pumps, get everything ready for a flood, sandbags. And 3 times we did it, we didn't get flooded. Now, I'll take it because I don't want to get flooded, but that's 2 days of work. Add up the labor hours that we weren't out in the community, picking up brush, cutting grass, trimming trees, painting. We're not doing that because we're getting ready for a flood that didn't happen. Vehicle parking and surplus storage, concerns with our phones, electric, computers, vehicle maintenance equipment. A lot of stuff in the shop isn't made to be put on shelves. Tire machines, hydraulic lifts, all this stuff's on the floor. It's not easily moved. We're going to continue to fortify Central Park for transferring service during flooding. So we built a few years ago a maintenance building at Central Park for parks because the athletic teams, thanks Nancy, moved in to the old building, and we built them storage in there, and we built a small facility on the other side. So we're going to continue working on that building in case we do have another flood and we have to move everything over here so we can continue services. I still have to fix flats on police cars. I still have to service fire trucks. Nobody wants to hear we're flooded out. We have to continue during the emergency situation. That's our main garage, the last flood. That's it. And you can see this isn't a carpet got wet situation. This is, we're flooded out and it's dangerous to be in there. That's our salt barn area. It's a lake. The canal is on this side. So the canal's spilling over, coming around the back of the woods in the front, and we just become part of the canal. That's Janice's office area. And this is our back. We're literally sandbagged in and we're pumping the water back out the windows back outside. So I dwelled on this a little because I just want council, the manager knows we've been talking about this and Peter, but I just wanted to make sure council knew when they heard flooded. We just didn't have some wet carpeting in public works. We're flooded out. We're unable to do our job there. We are evacuated and we're set up somewhere else. we'll move on, 2023 accomplishments. I just listed a few things here I wanted to talk about.
Excuse me, Mayor, may I
Yeah.
ask a question on the other issue?
Yeah.
This phenomenon of flooding, just for everyone's education, is a more recent thing. So that facility was located and selected and put in place, I don't know, how many years ago? What do you think?
It was 2001, I think.
2000, okay.
Or 2000? No, 1991.
I was gonna say 30 years.
Yeah,
So,
sorry.
But there has been a change in the flow of water from north to south, which is creating this newer type of phenomenon that we're dealing with.
Yes,
Is that accurate to say?
that's the feeling.
I don't want
yes.
anybody out there thinking, well, why the hell did we put this thing there? It's different.
Yes,
It's changed on us.
it's changed.
And so now we're trying to deal with it.
That's correct.
All right.
That's correct.
Wait, one quick question. When you say the flow has changed, the increase, or has someone done something further up that's causing us to backlog?
Well, engineering has investigated that. We can't get a clear answer on if something's happened upstream, so to speak. But what we notice now is the canal is always high.
Yeah.
the canal, why is the canal always high right up to the bridge? It used to be, on a summer's day, it's, maybe 4 foot from the bank. Now, whatever's happening, the canal is always at a high state. And that's the answer we can't really get. And we want to meet with the Water Supply Authority to see if the one bank by the Elsa pump station could be built up. I've talked about it with Jim. Look, we're not sure if that's the spot it spills over. And we got an answer, that's not a built spillover. Because originally I thought, well, maybe they built it like that so there's a spillover. The answer was no, it's not a spillover. So if we can get them to build up that bank, maybe that'll buy us some time until the floodwaters recede a little.
Thanks, Mark.
So a few 2023 accomplishments. I'll just go down the list real quick. New signage at the Nature Center for the Ann Demaray Nature Center. We did a lot of Village Park restroom painting and rehab. We painted the exterior of the Public Works facility, hadn't been done in 25 years. New fencing, Central Park, conversion of the bocce court lighting to LEDs. We pretty much now have all our parks converted to LEDs except the playing fields, which we've been looking into. Is very, very expensive. It's just something we're not going to tackle at the moment, but it's on our laundry list for either grants or if at some point it can work out for us. New heating and air conditioning units at the neighborhood center, boilers, rooftop units, heat pumps. That was all through a public service grant we worked with. We've installed new water fountains. We've been on a kick to install water fountains that are filtered, that you can refill your water bottle. We have them at some of our parks, Veterans, Village Park here at Town Hall. We installed one at the Senior Center, and we're going to keep installing. I think police is next on our list for one of those. We did secure a new lake fountain for Colonial Lake. We waited. We're going to wait until the cleanup's done. Once that's done in the spring, we'll have 2 working fountains again at Colonial Lake. Security upgrades at the Department of Public Works. We have now some new electronic locking doors. Folks were just coming around the back of the building and heading right in. And that happened a bunch of times. Right now, works in progress at the police department, break room rehab, the Route 1 tree and landscape care. We worked with public service on the 90 new trees. They've all been planted now around Lawrence, at our parks, at our facilities. All 90 trees have been planted. We added 2 new electric vehicles to the fleet, so now we have 6 total electric vehicles and 2 hybrids in the fleet. And we couldn't be happier with the electric vehicles. Now they have their purpose. I don't know if I'd put one in police or fire, but for the inspectors, it's a win-win because they work days, they rarely have emergencies, they're able to charge them at night and have at it the next day with full charges. So that's been working out great. For the first time, we've purchased a new electric zero-turn mower for park maintenance. We haven't used it yet, but this year residents will see our electric mower out on the playing fields or parks. We're very eager to see how that works out for us. We completed the rehab of the Central Park storage building, and we rehabilitated 1.2 miles of the trolley line from Phillips Avenue to the Ewing line. That was a big undertaking by Ed Soden and his staff. We did all that work in-house, and it came out great. So there's the section of the trail. There's the before and there's the after. So they really did a great job. I mean, we got a lot of folks that emailed us that walked that and exercised that were very pleased with the job we did. And Nick, this summer, we're gonna continue on and do our next section. It's just a picture. These our new storage buildings at Public Works are designed to get equipment out of the rain, snow, and sun, and basically in shade and out of the weather, so we prolong the life of the equipment. Our park division, we have 11 employees. We maintain 1,000 acres of parks, athletic fields, preserves, trolley lines, storage home, cemeteries, lining and prepping athletic fields, which is a full-time job for a couple of workers, aerating, seeding, grass cutting, trimming. And we break down the staff into cutting crews. They have routes. Responding to vandalism, graffiti, walkways, edging, tree pruning, leaf removal, maintaining Colonial Lake Dam. It's a very cumbersome job and time consuming, but it's something that has to be done. Walking paths, dog run, weeding beds, all that's done in all our municipal parks. This is something here. We have a lot of athletic fields. 12 soccer fields, a football field, 2 practice fields, 3 softball, 4 baseball, T-ball fields, a bocce court, 11 tennis courts, 4 basketball courts, volleyball courts, 24 pieces of playground equipment, and practice and soccer fields. They all have to be lined. They all have to be aerated. They all have to be fertilized. Most of them are irrigated. We have hundreds of irrigation heads. Joe Solinsky's our expert in irrigation. And we get a lot of feedback from the residents on irrigation, especially in the dry summer, about they'd rather us not use irrigation, or they have suggestions. So we try to work with the residents and we try to educate them. We only irrigate athletic fields. We have a huge investment in our athletic fields in Lawrence Township. And we take care of those fields, and we take a lot of pride in it. And daily park maintenance never ends. We have over 100 trash cans we empty every single day. All the restrooms are cleaned every day. And then, we have a lot of parks. Burley House, Hamnet, Boffer Cemetery, Twin Pines, Veterans Village. We have a lot of acres we take care of. And the staff size we have, it's a remarkable job the guys do on taking care of not only the parks, but all the detail work we do. If you walk around Village Park or Hamnet Park, the trimming, this time of year, the snow kind of held off for a while. We did a lot of trimming work and a lot of stuff in the off season that makes a big difference in the summer in our park. And the park employee hours, we do everything by hours in Public Works. How many hours do we have, and how many different hours of work do we have? Buildings and grounds, Joe Solinsky has only 2 employees, and they do a great job. If you just look at all the square feet of buildings we take care of, it's remarkable. 3 guys are able to take care of electrical concerns. Just showing off some of Joe's work and the guys' work at Christmas. But electrical, drywall, plumbing, floor and tile work, they coordinate all the fire system testing, the elevator testing and repairs, door and hardways. Joe does all the locksmith work. Light bulb, just replacing light bulbs in all these buildings is a full-time job. So the guys do a great job. Our job is to stay on top of these buildings so we don't have major capital improvement problems which require major dollars. So I've never come to the manager or council in the middle of the summer and said, I need $600,000 because a roof is falling in. We take care of that through proper planning of capital projects and proper maintenance. the list kind of goes on, but the guys, I will mention one, respond to after-hour emergencies. I can't tell you the dedication that's sitting right there. They're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week. We get calls constantly, whether it's from the police or from fire, about issues that are happening. The town doesn't shut down in the afternoon. We're 24/7, and they do a remarkable job. They answer the phone every single time. I don't even know how that's possible. Are they never in the shower? They always answer my call, and I'm not even, it's amazing. And they're always right on top of it. You know, they're prepared to come in. They have the tools they need. They know what they're doing. They're true professionals in every sense. Just some of our holiday pictures. Joe has set up the building. We changed the building colors various different times for different types of events. And Joe has set up the building where it's very easy to do now in terms of colors. Move on to the street division. It's more or less the same stuff. We have 13 employees, maintain 200 lane miles of streets through Lawrence. We do traffic maintenance, street signs, asphalt, crack sealing, shoulder cutting, roadside mowing, litter abatement, brush and leaf removal, which is always top on our list, tree removal, pruning, snow, stream maintenance. Stream maintenance is one that's getting to be time consuming for us because it has to be done. And the flooding we've had and the amount of storms, it's really something we're looking at long term. How do we, all the streams in town that we're responsible for, how do we get to those and maintain them and keep them flowing good, and the erosion? It's something really I'm gonna have to work with engineering for a long-term plan as we move forward. Metal collection, trash, you know, we went to automated trash a number of years ago. And I gotta tell you, it's a lot of work. We have to fix the carts, we have to deliver the carts. It's a little bit more time consuming than I think we thought at the time. It still keeps tonnage down and it's still worth it, but it is a little bit of a labor problem for Public Works. Our little wheel of labor, I'm not gonna go through every single one, but you could just see brush and leaf collection dominate what we do. Okay, so years ago, if I was to do this chart, paving and road work for a street department would dominate this list. You could see over the years that's changed. Residents want different types of services now. You know, road work could be done through contracts and engineering. They want certain services. If you ever tried to take away brush service, I think you'd be inundated in these meetings. It's such a valuable service to the residents, and it's the one we spend the most time on, the most phone calls, the most enforcement, because it's so valuable to the residents in Lawrence. The ecological center, and then tree work. With the diseases that are on the trees now, and the age of some of these trees, we're inundated with tree work. So you could just see between brush, trees, and leaves, it's almost half of our labor hours in streets taking care of that stuff. So it's really remarkable over the years. When I first got here, we owned a paver and a roller with Princeton, and I probably paved half the township in my first 10 years here with that equipment. But then layoffs came, we went into the recession. Princeton, we removed some labor from our departments. those programs kind of went away. There wasn't money to buy new equipment. So now it's kind of morphed. We're in this different area now that we're dealing with. Like I said, tree removal, we have a great arborist works for us. Kevin just loves what he does. Him and whoever Ed pairs him up with have taken down 276 dead trees in Lawrence this year. That's remarkable. I mean, that's remarkable. We did purchase a 75-foot tree truck almost 2 years ago, which is a great help to our operation. But we do stump grinding, topsoil and seeding. And a lot of these street trees, we have to have a flagging operation and traffic control that pulls more labor out of the public works pool, because you can't take down a street tree with one guy. You're gonna have a crew out there. He's trimmed 393 park trees, 165 street trees. You know, that's a lot of labor, almost 4,000 hours of labor. Now, we will contract out some trees, especially trees that are near overhead wires. I'm not gonna get anyone hurt. We're not certified in that kind of work. And really, for $7,000, I don't want our guys near high voltage power lines to take down a tree. That's something we should contract out. That's our tree truck. That's Kevin in action. He's also a certified tree climber. So we have a tree that you can't get
For the
the
record,
truck
that's not
to.
me.
He climbs it. Jan, we're putting your phone up there this year. We move on in the street division, brush collection. As you can see, $94,000 worth of labor last year performing that task. That does not include benefits and any roll-up. That's just pure labor. Leaf collection, you can see same thing. 92,000. We collect leaves all in November and December for 8 weeks. The entire department does it. There's no other way. Street sweeping program. We try to keep the street sweeper out there as much as we can. It really is a popular program, and it's really a necessity with what we do. One of our operators operates the street sweeper. And there's guys on vacation or other projects going on, we might have to pull in. White goods and metal collection stay popular. We had 542 appointments this year. We collected 50,000 pounds of white goods, and we can get paid for the metal $4,200 in weight. Roadside mowing, we have a lot of roads we have to cut all spring and summer. We spent 1,200 labor hours on that. Storm drains and sinkholes. Sinkholes, we have a lot. We have over 2,000 storm drains in Lawrence Township. The DEP mandates we inspect and clean and repair half of those every year and report that to them. And that's what we do every year. We pull everything we pull the tricycle out of a storm drain. We pull aluminum cans. We pull people's garbage. So we do that every year and report that to the state. Last year, snow removal missed Lawrence Township. We didn't really have any snow to speak about, but the problem with snow, it doesn't go away. You still have to plan for it. You still have to have the equipment for it. You still have to train for it because you just don't know what you're going to get. Jim's going to talk more about this when he comes up. We usually put, the road program and what's been paved on the Public Works report as well. Jim's going to cover this when he comes up. We assist with all events. We're we set them up, we break them down, we're hands-on. We're always trying to give out literature and teach the public about our programs, Community Day, holiday tree lighting. We try to be the behind the scenes on any event that's going on, give assistance to whatever is needed, and participate when appropriate. Our electronic drop-off program is now at our ecological center every Wednesday. We've run this since flat TVs came out, and everyone is putting the 300-pound old TVs at the curb, and it just never goes away. We collected 25,000 pounds of electronics this year. And that's a great program because that stuff isn't making it into our trash, and we're not paying for that at the landfill. We had our mulch delivery program. We are planning on doing that again this year. And this year, we're going to include leaf compost. We had a lot of calls about it, and this year we're going to include it. We made 152 deliveries, and we were able to get rid of 777 yards of wood chips for our compost site. The state mandates I have 1 year from the prior year to get rid of everything at our compost site. So all the leaf compost, all the double ground wood chips have to leave the site within 1 year after we process it. And we do get inspected. We get inspected by the county and state very often. That's our ecological center numbers. We had, that doesn't count Princeton residents. We had 4,100 Lawrence Township residents visit the ecological center. 1,200 yards of brush were brought in. Our municipal collection, 1,800. But we also have a contract with the local vendor we bring, because our compost site would never be able to take the amount we collect off the road. So we use this facility, and then we have a private contract, and Princeton pays us 50% back for that private contract. So we have to use a few different means to get rid of all this brush and leaves we take in. The sales are meager. They go to offset. We use a lot of fuel at the compost site for the equipment. It goes to really pay for parts and fuel at the site. Let's talk about 2024 garbage collection real quick. We entered into a new 5-year contract with Interstate Waste, formerly Salterra. As you know, they did not bid on the organic program. So we are trying to figure out how that might work in the future. We had approximately a 20% increase, which was a present. We've seen other towns go up 50% this year with garbage contracts. Bulk collection remains a small problem because we've changed the bulk problem to help keep a handle on the cost of rising garbage collection. So we're doing a lot of education. It's the last couple of collections really worked out well. We have the information out on all our social media, on our website and our calendar. So that is going better. Residents still have an opportunity to put 36 bulky items out each year, 36 mattresses, 36 couches. They still have a lot of bulky items they can get rid of. The contract still keeps all our dumpster service in place for 5 more years. We do dumpster service at all our townhouse and condominiums associations in lieu of reimbursing them for the service. We found it's cheaper to run the service through our municipal contract than cut them a check. Overall high price of trash collection services in the state of New Jersey. We have, I I have met with the manager numerous times about looking at options. So what are the options? Doing the service in-house. The problem with doing the service in-house is twofold. One, you cannot get equipment right now. It takes 2 years to get a garbage truck if I ordered it today. Garbage trucks are $250,000 a piece. We're not getting into the garbage business. I would need 5 trucks, over $1 million worth of equipment, and then it would take 2 years to get it. And I just don't see it happening anytime in the near future if we go that way. If we do go that way at some point, we'll have to plan it out for 2 or 3 budget years down the line. And then there's the problem with injuries, workman's comp cases. So a lot of towns got out of the business of garbage collection because of lawsuits and injuries. So you have those 2 things to contend with. And garbage doesn't go away. If it snows, we still got to pick up the garbage. If we have a storm, we still have to figure a way to get the garbage. So those are all issues to think about as we continue to talk about municipal garbage services. The recycling division has really become a full department. So when the state mandated that every township has to have a state certified recycling coordinator, that was right in the mix of bad budget years. It was decided I would go and get the license and become the township recycling coordinator, which I did and maintained. So I basically run this department, the curbside recycling program through the Mercer County Improvement Authority just had a big hike like everything else. So I go to their meetings, I coordinate with them on a weekly basis in terms of service, misstops. Jan does a great job with logging everything and sending everything to them and keeping track of what's not picked up or what's missed. I am the license holder for the township for the Class BC recycling facility. That's what our ecological facility is in state DEP talk. We're a Class BC recycling facility, meaning we can compost leaves and we can grind and make wood chips. And all that's in a 25-page permit we have to abide by. Moisture levels, lab testing, wind socks, all our data's got to be at the building down there for inspection at any time. And we do all that. We take care of that. Our white good collection program, our tire drop-off program for residents, our electronics drop-off program. We had stopped doing the shredding program when we hit COVID. In April 2024, we're hoping to have our next shredding program and start that for the residents. We've had a lot of phone calls. The county does do them, but the residents would like to have one in their own town, in their own backyard, and we're going to do that. And that will be paid for by the grant. The town will not have to pay that. Recycling bucket delivery service. Since COVID, we wanted residents not to come to Public Works, so we've been delivering the buckets curbside, which seems to work out pretty good, instead of making all the residents come to Public Works and wait at the front door to get a bucket. Motor oil recycling, all the park recycling buckets, we recycle in all of our parks in Lawrence Township. They're serviced just about every day along with garbage. Our organic collection program, we're looking to maybe do a shared service with that starting in 2025 if we could put the pieces together this year. Our vehicle battery drop-off, our hazardous waste drop-off participation with the county. And then we do the Public Works does the enforcement and education for recycling. There is no one to do the enforcement. So when there is a problem, I go out, Kirk goes out, Ed goes out, and we try to give the information and we fix the problem with the resident. We coordinate the recycling grant. I gave all the council and the mayor a copy of our forms. Jan does a great job logging that all in. So we send a letter and a form to every business in Lawrence Township every year. By law, they have to report all their recycling efforts to us. That goes into our report, and that's what generates our grant. So they take that tonnage, and there's a formula, and then they give us X amount of dollars back, and that money goes to running all of this. And municipal document shredding, which we're hoping April or May to run one, our first one since COVID. Vehicle maintenance, we talked about. Clyde D'Angelo does a great job managing this division. Public Works, Municipal Motor Pool, Police, Senior Center, Emergency Management, Fire. We do some work for ELSA. We do some work for the Lawrence Township Board of Ed. They had over 928 work orders last year. Obviously, all their labor hours were for vehicle maintenance. Now, they do come out and help plow snow. Last year, we really didn't have a snow season. There's a whole litany of things they do. They do a great job. They repair. You know, the ecological facility is not an easy, that's all out in the field. So they have a shop truck with a crane. All that work gets done in the field. They do all the welding there, all the maintenance work out in the field, whether it's cold or hot out. We have to go there and maintain that equipment so we can continue grinding and taking care of our business. Shuttling fire apparatus. We have some shared services with Princeton. We're a licensed diesel inspection facility. All our emergency generators are handled through Clyde. They're all service. And I'll touch upon the police's generator when I get to my capital. But they're all service ready to go for any event. And that's very important with the firehouses and with police and public works. The town hall, and we've seen it plenty of times where we've lost power and we're on emergency power. Assist equipment training and safety program. They help with getting our new employees commercial driver's licenses, field work, getting their permits, assist with snow removal efforts, and upfitting. So they upfit the police cars, they upfit the specialty cars. One police car could take a mechanic 2.5 weeks to tear one down and build a new one. So it's a lot of labor and a lot of time. But police cars aren't what they used to be, just, you know, a radio and a light bar. They have e-tickets, like electronics in it that I'm probably not going to talk about, but there's a lot that goes into the police cars to make them what they are today. Electric versus gas. Like I said, we're on our 6th electric vehicle. We probably like to continue increasing that number as we go year to year. But it's definitely a savings in fuel. It's a savings in maintenance. Instead of oil changes, we're looking at tires and brakes. There's very little maintenance on these cars. The 6 we have been great. I gave you just a little thing where, you know, if you look at the miles, we're going to save at least several $100s the way we use our vehicles each year in gas. Electric still costs money, but it's still cheaper to run the electric car right now. We have charging stations at Town Hall. We have motor pool charging stations just for the cars we own. And we have a charging station on the north side of the building for the pump. Like I had said before, this is our first electric lawnmower for Public Works. The residents will be seeing that out there and work in action this spring. And as I wind down here, my capital 2024 requests. These are all replacements. There's nothing here that's new to our operation. Replacement pickup truck with diesel engine, salter, and plow. One of our big items I touched upon was the replacement of the generator for the police court facility. Very important. The generator is old, and what worries me the most, it's at the maximum. In terms of over the years, we've added heating and air conditioning and different parts of the operation at the police department, which has maxed out this piece of equipment. So it's old and maxed out. So we're gonna move to a bigger generator that gives them future use, but that's something that really has to be done this year. We're doing some additional funding for our big shop truck for vehicle maintenance. We've done this over the last 10 years or so, where we've taken 2 or 3 years to budget money and add it up for a bigger purchase. So we're not attacking the budget all at once. And they've done a great job keeping this shop truck. It's one of the first things I bought when I got here. It doesn't owe us anything, and it needs to be replaced. It's something they use every single day that we're working. Now our mechanical street sweeper is up for replacement, but we have $100,000 in grant funding sitting for this project. We saved every year through Clean Communities 20% of that grant for the last 5 years to go towards a new street sweeper, because new street sweepers are $250,000. And we knew without banking that money, it was going to be very difficult to purchase. And our horizontal wood waste grinder, which we talked about, that's something we'll share with Princeton as we renewed our 5-year agreement with them to run the ecological facility for the future. That's the main piece of equipment that grinds all the trees and all the leaves. Without that, we're not in business. So that piece of equipment's over 20 years old. The new one have to be built. It'll have to have an air permit through the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, and it'll have to be put in service. So that's something that's been talked about, and we've been looking at for the last 3 or 4 years to try to find the spot to get that into the operation. That's it. That's about 21 or 22 years old. The mechanics take great care of it. We've already replaced and rebuilt the main drum that spins, that has the teeth on it, 2 times. There is not much more we could rebuild on this. It's just tired. Look ahead, our new trash collection, our new storm water collection rules for the ecological facility. The state's imposed new stormwater rules that we have to have a permit and certain things built. I'm working with engineering on that. We don't know how that's gonna turn out, but without that, we won't be able to run the ecological facility. So we have to try to find a happy place with what has to be built there. There's also a matter of testing the water there that has to be done with this new permit. So we're trying to figure this all out as we move forward. We still have supply chain problems for vehicles and parts and building maintenance equipment. We have a part on order for our boiler here. We've been waiting for 3 months. 3 months. Joe was good enough to come up with a makeshift part to get the boiler running again. But for 3 months, we've been waiting on a part for our main boiler for this building. All new HVAC equipment for the neighborhood center. We just finished up the partial new roof here. The new shingles on the main part of this roof's all brand new. And a lot of the metal work around that's all new, and a couple doors up on the roof. And the new electric garbage truck grant funding, which is gonna take some time to get the grant funding and add to it over the next 5 years or so. But that's in the works. That's all I have, council. I thank you for listening. Certainly any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I'm just overwhelmed, and thank you for all that you do. and
Oh,
your
thank
team.
you.
I mean, no idea. I will be more conscientious of my leaf collection.
Mayor?
Sure.
Thanks. I just want to say, thanks for all that you do, all of the methodical way that you deal with both sort of managing your, labor hours, managing just, the different contracts that you have to do, and also the thoughtful way you tackle those really large capital purchases. It seems like everything that you have in Public Works is about $250,000, which is incredible. I remember the first time being on council and seeing that just a dump truck with a plow is $250,000 driving around on the street. So it's pretty amazing. Thanks for doing the electric vehicles. I always drive by when I'm leaving after council and look at my babies, as I call them, because I think they're just great for the environment and great for our town. One of the questions I do have is that, with sort of the growing, you mentioned sort of South Lawrence with Brunswick Pike and sort of taking that over and the additional work. How has sort of the new residential development, the trails at Princeton Pike on Lennox Drive, how has that impacted your operations at all in terms of snow removal, anything like that?
Not too much yet.
Okay.
I'm not sure how it's gonna impact us down the line. If, right now, they're gonna have private garbage collection we'll have to reimburse for under the law. But right now, it's not impacting our services yet. Now, how that'll be impacted down the road with recycling and more residents and traffic and ecology, I don't know. But at the moment, there's really no impact to us.
Oh, that's great to hear. All right, that's all I have. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman.
I just have
Yeah.
just a brief comment. I asked all of our department heads to, this was their opportunity to really
Yeah.
explain it all, especially to our new council
Yeah.
members. And, Greg delivered in explaining it all.
I'm in this is like shocking off, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, but it's a pretty incredible thing that our public works do. And Greg's been with us for 25 years. You celebrated this year, correct?
Yeah.
As our public works director, and our community, there is no doubt from where I sit,
Mhm.
benefit from his 25 years of experience, from his professionalism, from his knowledge and his approach to how he manages the public works, because he cares about what he does.
Mhm.
He cares about the community. He worries about budgeting, the taxpayers, the cost of the taxpayers. All of that is wrapped up into what he does. And his command staff over
Yeah.
here, you see their dedication all the time, especially at community events. That's when you really see it, but it's every day.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to publicly thank you and you guys for all that you do, because they are unsung heroes, and they are at times, there are negative comments directed to them by residents, I believe unfairly,
Yeah.
almost all the time. And I want them to know publicly they are appreciated by a great majority of our residents, for sure.
Mayor,
Yeah.
your snow removal for the last couple were excellent. Whoever had to complain,
Yeah.
let me tell you, we couldn't believe it. I had phone calls from members of the town from different areas.
Mhm.
Snow was gone just like this. And it wasn't the sun, it was you guys. Thank you very much.
I can echo those sentiments also. I heard from the community what outstanding work was done with removal. I mean, I've only been mayor for a short time, but I didn't receive any complaints. And, I had no idea all that you do. I take a look now at the town differently in seeing your handprint on so much of what is beautiful about our town, what operates so smoothly. The planting of trees, I mean, you cover so much for our residents We owe you a tremendous amount of gratitude. Very thankful for that. And like the manager said, you're very conscientious of, expenditures. Your wish list to us, is reasonably thought out. And so we thank you. We thank you for that. And you are very appreciated.
Thank you.
Have new eyes on what you all do. I thought it was just a lot more than trucks and leaves. Trust me.
Thanks.
Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate it.
Mhm.
Thank you, council.
How's everybody doing? Do you need to run in it? Everybody's good? Next, we'll have Mr. Parisi and the municipal engineer report.
Hello, Mayor.
Hello, how are you?
It's gonna be a challenge to follow the chief and Greg, but I'll do my best here. Okay, so engineering. So we fall into the Department of Community Development. There's actually 3 divisions to make up the Community Development Department, Division of Planning and Redevelopment, Engineering, and Code Enforcement. And I'll go through each one of those. I'll start with the staff. We all work under the Director of Community Development, which is Kevin Nowinski. Myself, I have several positions: the municipal engineer, zoning officer, planning board engineer, planning board secretary. Brenda Kramer, who's with us tonight, in the audience, she serves as the assistant municipal engineer, zoning board engineer, and also zoning board secretary. And Jennifer Thomas, who is the account clerk and provides support to all the divisions. So we go through the specifics. I'll start with the Division of Planning and Redevelopment. In our positions as board secretaries, we do completeness reviews for development applications, scheduling, distribution of materials, agendas, legal notices, correspondence with all the boards, professionals, and applicants. This is really all the management of the land use boards. Under the Division of Code Enforcement, I serve as the zoning officer. Providing general assistance in interpreting zoning requirements, reviewing all the residential and commercial zoning permit applications, and providing for the enforcement of the land use orders. Engineering. This is the development and implementation of the capital improvement program. It's a major part of the division. This is everything from planning and budgeting through construction management. Right now, we're currently managing over 20 ongoing capital projects, all in various stages of development, including roads, intersections, sidewalks, pedestrian safety, trail connections, parks, facilities. Some recent projects, notable ones, Coastal Road we recently completed, the Colonial Lake Park Trail Extension, Business Route 1 Streetscape, Hero Dog Park, which is still under construction. The Maidenhead Meadows Trail, which is just about ready to start. That's a elevated boardwalk through Maidenhead Meadows. And the Craven Lane pedestrian safety improvements, which were also recently completed. We also serve as the board engineers. This plan review and report preparation, attending the meetings, providing expert testimony, bond estimation, and ensuring resolution compliance. We also manage the inspection of all the public and private improvements associated with land development applications. This includes the soil erosion inspections. We do also prepare reports for bond reductions and release requests. We also maintain compliance and certification with a number of different agencies. I have them listed there. Some of them are statutory, like the DEP stormwater permit. Others give us the ability to apply for grants. Others, we just maintain the certification, such as the Tree City USA. We maintain all the mapping and records, the tax maps, facility mapping, respond to open requests. Grants have been a major focus for the department. Back in 2018, the municipal manager expanded the assistant engineering position to really manage grants on a township-wide basis. And this includes searching for new opportunities, evaluating potential funding sources, advising other departments of potential funding opportunities, and maintaining and distributing a summary of all the grant work. I've included the summary in everybody's package. It's hard to read here, but the summary is about 4 pages long, and it includes all the different agencies we apply for grants to, different projects, how much we requested each year, the ones we obtained, or the ones we were denied for, who's responsible for the grant, deadlines. A great tool to manage the grant effort. In addition to that, we have to prepare grant applications, coordinate the projects with all the various agencies. This involves regular progress reports, expenditure reports, and closeout documentation. All the grants are reimbursements, so we have to ensure compliance to then be reimbursed. In 2023, the division applied for 13 grants or funding opportunities totaling over $6 million. To date, we've received 10 separate grants totaling more than $3.5 million. Brenda's really done a great job in searching for these grants, and we've had a lot of success. You can see they range anywhere from $132,000 for grass cleaners all the way up to $1.2 million for a trail along Orange Station Road. Onto the budget. So the operating budget. Generally, our operating budget is consistent with funding levels in 2023. The only difference that you'll note is that there is money that was added to 2023 and 24 to the ongoing master plan update by the planning board. Also in our budget submission, we do forms for the planning board, the zoning board, planning and redevelopment, the shade tree committee, rent stabilization, growth and redevelopment, and the environmental resource committee. And all of them, again, are all consistent with the 23 levels. The capital budget. So again, the capital budget is also consistent with funding levels in 2023. The only difference you'll see in 2024, there's a much larger number just because of all the grants. Our CFO could probably explain it better, but he does have to budget all that money prior to us being able to spend those funds and then ultimately be reimbursed. So as part of the capital budget, we set a 3-year capital improvement program. This is something that's updated every year. We try to maintain consistent funding levels and distribute the improvements throughout the town. Projects are selected based on a number of factors, including visual inspection, viability assessments, recommendations for public works, requests from property owners, or development associations, and sometimes even the availability of grants. So this is an example. Tiffany Woods is kind of a good example of that. Tiffany Woods development for repaving was further out in the program, but we had an opportunity to get funding under the infrastructure fund from DOT. We were looking for a project with pedestrian safety challenges within it. This project fit that description, so we were able to secure funds not only to fix the safety improvements, but also to repave the entire development, because that's 100% funded. So this is our 3-year capital program. Broken up by year, year 1 for 2024, year 3 for 26. For 2024, we're proposing work on Princeton Pike. This is a grant we received, $830,000 grant from the CMAQ grant, federal grant. And this is for improvements along Princeton Pike. It includes a signal at Backwood Road and improvements to the intersection and signal at Prophet Line Road. Also repaving the Glenbrook Court. We have Gainsborough, Gedney, and Fieldborough. Now, this is the 2023 state aid project. We received $414,000 for that one. Tiffany Woods, which I just talked about, that's the $655,000 grant. Glenn Stoniker, this is the engineering only because we have, that's our 2024 state aid project. So we have about $480,000 worth of state aid for that one, but that'll be budgeted in 2025. We're also paving Huron West, Carrier Way, Winnipeg Lane, Burley Avenue, Drexel Avenue, Fernwood Lane, and Renee Court. This is kind of the summary sheet, but one thing I wanted to point out were the the guide rail and traffic signal improvements, and the concrete program. So in guide rail, every year we have to bid guide rail that's just involved in vehicle accidents. Traffic signals, we maintain a variety of signals throughout the town. Some are full traffic signals, other are pedestrian beacons. And this used to be done by the county, but the county kind of moved away from that several years ago. So now we have that responsibility to maintain the traffic signals. The concrete program, this is offered to the residents. They can have the township complete sidewalk repairs, and then they reimburse the township for the work that's completed up through a tax assessment. There's actually, I think, even an ordinance on tonight that's part of that reimbursement program from 2023. Timing, just in general on timing, typical roadway resurfacing projects are typically completed in the same budget year that we put them in the budget. The ones that are grant funded tend to have a longer approval process, so they're typically bid at the end of the year for spring of the next year for construction. Sometimes we have delays. Usually there are those outside agency approvals or utility work that's delayed or unanticipated. And just 2 examples of that. Last year we had money for 3 roads in Colonial Lake, but Elsa has a sewer main extension coming through there. So we delayed work on those roads. And West Lawn Drive development, there's a water main replacement project that's Aqua's doing. But that was delayed a year, so we're not able to pay that until probably late next year. So I have all the budget sheets in here as well. I won't go through them unless you have questions on them. That's pretty much my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Just a comment, excellent, with regards to the grants that you're able to secure and the work
Thank
for
you.
that.
We've had a lot of success this year.
Yeah. Excellent.
Mary, 5 minutes?
Sure.
Thanks. Thank you, as always. I think, Mary, you'll discover that the conscientious paving program that this township has will serve you well when you have resident calls about a pothole or anything else.
I've already,
Reach out to-
heard complimentary things.
Reach
about
out to the manager, he'll get the information, and then you can get back and tell him you'll be paid this year and next, and usually makes for a great thing. I just want to say thanks for all the hard work on the grant writing. I know that's been just an amazing success, especially if we're going to finally get a light at Backflow and Princeton Pike. I think so many in this area would be very happy. One thing I just wanted to ask, my question that I have is that I know with stormwater regs, you made me think, are there other things, other regulations, either federal or state, that are impacting sort of your workload, increasing it, decreasing it? Is it, just trying to think, long-term there about sort of, staffing issues and things like that we might see?
Yeah, I mean, DEP has, the new stormwater regulations, there's a lot more we have to do. We did include some additional money in the budget for stormwater management. I don't think it's beyond what we can handle with the department, but it's definitely a lot more that needs to be done to keep pace with those regulations.
Thank you.
Can you just tell me a little bit about what the Tiffany Woods project, what that looks like, those improvements for safety? I know you
Sure,
mentioned the
yeah.
paving.
Yeah, so Tiffany Woods, it's an old development, and there's a lot of missing sidewalk links, handicap ramps that are non-compliant. So they're really the safety improvements that went along with the road restoration that made that grant work for DOT.
So it's a secluded area in town. It sits back.
It is off of Spruce Street.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
could you just clarify for me item 255 where there's a significant drop in the contractual services? What is that change?
I'm sorry, say it again. Which thing?
Underneath the engineering, number 255, there's a significant drop in the
Oh, yeah.
expenses.
So that's why I mentioned before that the difference between 2023 and 24 from prior budgets, we had additional money put in for the master plan. So the master plan budget, I wrote that just down below here. In 2023, we put $60,000. We got $60,000 in the operating budget for the master plan, and then in 2024 it's $25,000. So if you took those two out, it would almost be the same each year. So we really haven't changed our, outside of the master plan work, we haven't really changed that number over the years. It's really just reflecting the master plan work.
So that work was completed last year for the anticipation of the,
Well, it was budgeted last year. It's still ongoing. Yeah, we're really just getting into the start of the master plan plot process. The planner has done some preliminary work, but we really haven't had any meetings at the board level to talk about the master plan.
was all of that money used?
No, absolutely not.
It's carrying over.
Carrying over?
Yeah, it's
That's
all
what-
carrying over, and I would expect the majority, maybe the 60,000 would be used maybe prior to June or July
Of 2024.
of 24.
Okay, that's what I, thank you.
No problem.
Mayor, I just have a quick comment. I really wanted Jim to do a presentation to you because what Jim and Brenda do in the zoning office and as municipal engineers is really, really expansive stuff, like more than I think people realize. And they do a great job, and now they're assisted by Jen Thomas as well. So they're a really well-functioning department that gets their hands into a lot of different things. And, I know there's a lot of, we espouse the positiveness of the grants. It's one thing to get a grant.
Right.
It's the next thing to execute upon the grant. And that's really when all the work really starts. So, you get yourself into the game by getting awarded that grant, but the hard work really flows once that grant is in place and secured. We have to execute upon it. And we've got a good reputation by the state of, from our efforts by the state of New Jersey. And it could be one of the reasons why I think we get some grants that we may have missed out on in the past, is because they know if Lawrence is putting in for it, they have the ability and will execute upon it. There's no return of money. There's no waste of money. And so that reputation is earning us the ability to be in the game for other grant opportunities. And that's reflected through the hard work of Brenda and Jim.
Thank you. Yeah, it's creating a track record for us, which is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mayor, if I could just make one last comment. I just want to acknowledge the existence of our health officer and our recreation superintendent, superintendent of recreation, who are here today in support of their other fellow department heads. I think it's awesome, to take the time out, the hours out to be supportive of each other. And I think that's shows the teamwork that's involved.
Absolutely, we appreciate that. Thank you. And the officers staying on. Thank you. All right. How's everybody doing? Good? Okay. We will now have our first opportunity for public comment. We ask that you come to the podium, state your name, and just write your address on a sheet of paper if necessary. We have a taker.
Yes, somebody's got to call.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Yeah. Okay. While we're waiting, I just wanted to make the public aware that at our next meeting, Mr. Oakley, Emergency Management Coordinator, will be making a presentation. He was unable to do it today, but he will be at our next meeting, so March 5th.
I'm Jim Cleek. I just wanted to compliment everybody that made presentations tonight. Like a lot of you have said, I had not the vaguest idea of all the things that Public Works did, you have some idea of the better idea of the police, but good grief, I think that all you do see snowplows and garbage and that's about it. You have no concept of and like some of you have mentioned, usually the only time any of you guys hear from us is when something's wrong, and I haven't had occasion to say anything about anything being wrong, but I've also never called up and complimented, and so I want to make up for lost time now, because really, I know it's farmed out, but the garbage and the recycling are wonderful, and when you're retired, you see them, there, and they're also pleasant, and, if you're running out there at the last minute, that certain things that I wanted to sure about, like the sidewalks, they're the owner's responsibility. And I've been under the understanding that if they get really bad, then you will get after them to repair them. Am I right? Maybe I shouldn't be asking you these questions, but
No, you're on the right course.
because right in front of Ben Franklin School, you think we walk every morning, and that's a death trap. And you'd think that would be the Board of Ed, but you'd think of all places that would be kind of a place that would be taken care of. I'm breaking the rules about not complaining here, but.
Thank you for bringing it to
Also,
our
I'm
attention.
probably 3.5 minutes into my 5 minutes, but.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
And somewhere on Princeton Pike, and I can't think of well, I don't think it's Elm, but whenever, we walk every morning, and there's one street there, and I'm sure you're aware of it, that cross street, it's really in bad shape. Now, I don't know whether that's the kind of thing that you can patch, or whether it's the kind of thing that really has to be graded, but that's something to put on the think tank maybe.
Yeah.
But now, moving on to the police department, I wondered about, I know you cited how much overtime there has to be and all, but that's, and of course we know that that's not free either, because that runs a cost too. And I'm kind of guessing that it takes, you wonder whether, at what point the cost of that justifies another couple of policemen. You know what I think you know what I mean, but I guess that what it is if you add another policeman instead of X number of hours of overtime, you also have all the benefits and retirement and all. So I imagine that's just stream of consciousness. I imagine that's something that you kind of have to keep track of all the time. And now the last thing, the fact that you've had so much more problems now, and you've been able to cope with them. I wondered is whether that's, I know the last couple of censuses, the ethnicity of the communities changed quite a bit, and I didn't know whether that dealt with it like English as a second language or things like that.
Okay.
Cope with it or not. And
one of the things that we did mention was about doing potentially an assessment or a study when we look at those types of things as we were dealing with the police department.
right.
So that's something to keep in consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You.
Thank you all.
Okay. Seeing no other public participation.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can we ask, since there's no more public participation, any township employee, department head that's here? you are
Speaking
free
of
to go.
overtime.
Thank you very much for being here and being supportive and being ready to answer any questions.
Yeah. So we want to thank our police and our staff for their presentations this evening. They were all outstanding. I think they get better and better. And with that, I also will close public participation at this time. So you're more than welcome to stay, or
We understand.
we understand if you need to leave.
Mayor, I don't think I'm up again, but I forgot one thing. When you talked
Wait,
about the extension of,
You have to come up, otherwise it's not a public record. But you have to be brief.
Jim, please, again, there was a mention about the business Route 1 and the additional cost connected with that in plowing and other things and all. And I remember when that was first taken over by the township, the previous town manager, and there was great happiness about it. And I never quite understood why, because it seems to like it's a lot of expense involved in it. And I wondered what was the advantage to us for the township to being, taking over that expense.
Mayor, I can answer?
Sorry.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Can I answer?
Sure.
So Mr. Cleek, the township just recently took that over several years ago.
Right.
Not, it was negotiated with the state years and years ago as
Oh, okay.
part of the
Yeah, I
pedestrian
remember.
improvement plan for Brunswick Streetscape. And the roundabout and all the improvements that are going along that state road, an agreement, I think, was reached where the state would receive from being involved in the maintenance of that stretch of roadway, so we could take the steps necessary to better enhance it for making it pedestrian friendly. And we just started the work to do that. As you can see, like the islands with the trees and all that, there's more phases to come, but I think that's where it came from.
That's a trade-off.
Because it was languishing under state control and maintenance, and we decided that was an area of our town that, when I say we, just the government, I wasn't involved at the time, decided that was an area of town where we wanted to do improvements, and the only way you can do improvements on state roads at times, if they're not inclined to do so, is to take it over ourselves. So I think it was a fair trade, and in a couple of years, we'll be able to better determine whether or not it was the right thing to do.
Thank you. Okay, and with that, again, I will close public comment at this time. Review and revision of the agenda. We did want to change to include an executive session, just a brief one to discuss the municipal judgeship and also a couple of boards and committees that we still need to finalize a couple of things on. So we will have a brief executive session this evening. Next, for the adoption of minutes of the previous minutes, if we could have a motion.
Well, first we have to, go if you want to add the executive session.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need to vote on that, right?
Yeah, and then also, it's just what's the correction to 18B3 that I put before you.
All right.
It's just that what you received had a dollar amount, and this just changed to 0 because this was a bond that was denied.
Okay. Okay. So we need two motions. One, first is for the acceptance of the executive session, which is a change to our current agenda. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to change the agenda. I make a motion to change the agenda for such executive
To add
session,
the closed
to
session.
add the closed session.
I'll second.
Okay. With a motion and second, Madam Clerk, you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes,
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes. Do I need to say the amount of time or for the closed session, for the executive session? Do I need to give it a time?
No.
Okay. All right.
Madam Mayor, I would like to make a motion to adopt the revision of 18.3. B3, excuse me.
You need to read it? What's this one? Okay. All right, with the motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mayor Ryan, Mayor Farmer, sorry.
Yes. And I guess this brings us to H, which is adoption of minutes of the previous meeting. Do I have a motion?
Darn, everyone jump. I'll make a motion to, I make a motion to, for 8A regular meeting, November 9th, 2023.
Do I have a second?
Listen here.
It's only just.
Second.
With a motion and second, Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
I abstain.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
I also abstain. Now, next on the agenda is the awarding and/or rejection of bids. We have A, number 97, authorizing the contract for the rehabilitation of 123 Glenville Drive.
I'll make a motion to move 9A, number 97, authorizing a contract for the rehabilitation of 123 Glenville Drive.
I second.
With a motion and second, Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll. Or is there any discussion? I'm sorry, no discussion.
This is just to approve work to be done under our Affordable Housing Trust Fund program, rehabilitation work in the amount of $24,900.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes. We're right along for the introduction of ordinances.
I'll move 10A, ordinance number 2463-24, ordinance amending ordinance number 2375-20, providing certain job classifications and providing compensation for the municipal employees of the Township of Lawrence, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, Chief of Police salary for 2024-2027.
Madam Mayor, may I ask that the manager give a little clarification?
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's do second first and then on.
First, we have to second. If I could have a second, please.
Second.
Discussion, any questions?
Yeah, so I can provide an explanation. This is addressing and creating a differential of pay between our chief of police and our captain. 4 years ago, in a negotiated bargaining agreement, we created the differential in pay between patrol officers and sergeants and lieutenants to provide incentives for the police officers to seek advancement and be compensated for that advancement. There was a time when a patrol officer had the ability to earn more money remaining as a patrol officer, working overtime as being promoted and becoming a sergeant or a lieutenant. We addressed that issue through negotiations 4 years ago, and we created this differential to provide an incentive for qualified people to seek leadership roles and be compensated for that. And it's worked. When we did it 4 years ago, there was no captain in place. There was a position within our salary guidelines, but it was never filled. It has since been filled a couple years ago by Captain Leck. And with that came a circumstance where the captain is now making a little bit more than the chief of police, which is not an appropriate situation to have in terms of chain of command, acknowledgement of responsibilities. And so we wanted to create a differential to the chief of police and the captain, and it works out to be a 2%, a little bit more than 2% differential, or $5,000 separation in between the two. And that's what I'm trying to do, is to address that situation that was not addressed previously because a captain did not really exist for quite a while. We now have one in place, and I think it's a dynamic that we need to address to have better operations.
Mr. Manager, I have one quick question. Does this because we are at the 2%, so this will affect the pay for other employees as well? No.
This is adjusting a salary guide, and I assessed a percentage just to give you a basis of what that $5,000 represents. So it's just creating that separation in pay, and it only affects the chief of police.
So no other contracts will be affected?
No contracts are affected. The chief is under a salary guide that's not affected by that.
Perfect, thank you for the clarification.
Sure.
Thank you for the clarification. So we have a motion and a second on the table. Are there any other, for discussion or? If we could call the roll, please, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kaneki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mayor Plummer.
Yes, and again, thank you for the clarification. Number 11, adoption of ordinance.
Now we have
Mayor, I'd like to
10.
make,
10B.
I'd like to make a motion for 10B, ordinance number 2464-24, ordinance amending ordinance number 2456-23, salary ordinance of the Township of Lawrence, unclassified and/or exempt seasonal emergency, parentheses, non-union employees for 2023-2025, adding grant coordinator stipend for 2024 and 2025.
I second.
Is there any discussion? Good?
You're good on that.
Okay.
For the record, I can just say
Do you have
simply this, and I think we should. This is for Brenda Kramer. This is for the work she does in our grant program. This is, however, we are a civil service community, and when we hire people under specific titles as described through civil service. And when we hire somebody under civil service for a specific title.
I'm sorry, one moment. If we could have, excuse me, if we could just have the conversation in the audience kind of.
So when we hire somebody under a specific title, their expectation is to do the work under that title, and we are required to have them do the work as they are hired to do. In Brenda's case, we changed her from a part-time municipal engineer to a full-time, but we added a certain more and different responsibilities that blended towards the grant. So the grant program. She's done a wonderful job, and this stipend creates this ability for us to provide compensation to her under a separate thing other than her title to acknowledge the work that she's doing under the grant program. And we do that at times when we have one employee doing work and having responsibilities that are other than what their title and what they were hired to do.
An adjustment.
Acknowledgement, right?
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, if we could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Yes.
Mr. Kaneki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mayor Plummer.
Yes. Next, we have the adoption of ordinances. Ordinance number 3462-24.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion and move 11A, ordinance number 2462-24, ordinance providing for sidewalk improvements in and by the Township of Lawrence in the County of Mercer, New Jersey, appropriating $30,095 therefore, and directing the special assessment of the cost thereof.
I second the motion.
And if I, for clarification, sidewalks, the conversation came up about improving sidewalks. Is this something that would cover?
Well, this is actually a program that we've had in place for years where the township is the person that secures the concrete, which allows, and we offer this program to residents to repair their sidewalks at a much lesser amount because we're buying more concrete. And it allows them also to pay over time through their property tax collection and assessment. So over, I think, a 5-year period. So it's a good deal and it's a good incentive to have property owners who have sidewalks in disrepair to take advantage of this and partner with the township, get the work done for a lot less and pay it over time. And that's what this reflects this year.
Thank you.
May I say one thing? Thank you, manager, for this program because it has helped the community that I live in greatly. because many people were falling over some sidewalks that were in very bad repair.
Yeah, this is something that we're gonna work with our community aid to get the word out more. Like, I think there could be more participation if people knew about it.
Right.
So, we're gonna try and get the word out, so next year we have more participants involved.
Okay. Is there any comments or questions from the public? Seeing none?
Mr. Bobbit,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry? Yes. Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes. Okay, this brings us now to the manager's report.
I have nothing more to report.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, thank you. That is the reflection of yours, so thank you so much for that. Okay. The attorney's report.
Yes, briefly, I followed up pursuant to the council's request with the attorney for Elsa, Mr. Barry Rank. Spoke to him last week. He indicated, as I somewhat anticipated, a very slow process with the DEP to get a meeting. He was hoping to have a meeting within the next 2 weeks, meaning probably early March, to try to get some type of conditional consent order to hopefully put the brakes on the actions of DEP involving the Assunpink, and as we discussed at length at the last meeting, the resolution of ELSA that no more connections, in essence, can be made in Lawrence, Ewing, and Hopewell for new construction. Mr. Rank is going to get back to me when the date is of that meeting, and hopefully we'll have more on that. I don't know if any of the members of ELSA here have any additional information.
March 22nd.
Oh, date was set March 22nd?
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
Well, it's only a month away. So hopefully that will be helpful. There's been no other activity that I'm aware of involving that. Much concern from the other municipalities, rightly so. There's some minor items involving litigation that I'm putting together a report. It'll be a written report for one of the next meetings. So I don't want to start tonight going into that. Anyway, we'd probably have to go into closed session. So I'll have a written report on most of our litigation within the next 1 or 2 meetings, depending on the scheduling with our budget presentations too. So that's all I have.
Mr. Second, we had talked about potentially having someone come in and talking to us about the ELSA situation. Do you recommend that we could wait till after the March 22nd meeting?
Probably. I would think, hopefully.
He's coming in front of you at the next meeting,
Oh, he's going to come at the next meeting?
March 5th.
The executive director, Bob Phillip.
Okay.
I mean, it would be helpful if ELSA would have a quicker timetable, but, excuse me, if DEP would have a quicker timetable. But having dealt with them many times, I guess March 22nd is lightning speed.
Okay, but we'll have, so it sounds like we will have the executive director from ELSA come and address the council at our next meeting on March 5th.
Thank you.
Yeah, he will be here with the environmental attorney.
Great. All right.
So we'll have the executive director and the environmental attorney for ELSA at our next meeting on March 5th to give us some additional information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, this brings us to the clerk's report. Is there anything to report?
That was all I was gonna report. That you'll be here the next meeting.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, do we have any unfinished business? Okay. And then new business, appointments to the boards and committees, we're going to table that to our, we still have some discussion to have regarding that at our executive session.
Well, you're moving that to your executive session. You're not tabling it.
We're moving into our executive
Thank you.
session, our appointments to the boards and committees for discussion. Right, this brings us to our next opportunity for public participation with a 3-minute limit. Seeing none, moving on to our resolutions.
Mayor, if it's all right with council, I'd like to move 18A1 through H9 in a block.
18A1. Sure.
No, hold on 1 minute.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
if you could give us a moment to just review them.
okay, I figured.
I had one question. Hold on. I have a motion to table or to executive session to discuss the consolidation of the two boards of housing and, housing and rental,
Affordable housing.
affordable housing and rental, which is.
Which number is that, Councilwoman?
That's not on
the
agenda.
It's not on the agenda.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
That was
Mayor.
just something that was sent.
That was
to
sent
you.
out.
Sent out,
Via
okay.
email.
All right,
Okay.
excuse me.
So we can take
That is
that
something
back.
for you guys to discuss.
We'll discuss,
Yeah.
okay.
So let's review. The motion is for 18A.
Mayor, yeah, the motion I made was
Mhm.
for all of the resolutions in a block.
Okay.
I'd hope that everyone had seen them over the weekend.
Yes.
So if there are
We
any
did.
questions, let me know.
I have one question for the manager, please. We have let me see right here, H7. It's the IXP on that. I
Sure.
believe. No, you want, go ahead.
I'm sorry. There is a motion, and now is there a question? What do you
Well,
need
has
to
there been a second?
Can we have a second?
I need a second.
I second.
All right, now you can discuss.
Now we can discuss, Councilman.
Mayor Matt,
Mhm.
did we put, IXP last year, we were gonna look into, you were gonna look into it as maybe replacing them, because we had some problems with the contract last year. It was well over $1 million on that, and then you were gonna look into whether we would do employees again. Because I know we had talked to, Mayor Mark in Princeton, they also got rid of IXP. They put out advertisement, they got 70 applications
Mhm.
for their dispatch. Do we do
We
anything?
did, we absolutely explored the issue of going in-house. It doesn't make sense for us at this point in time. We also explored the issue to combine shared services with Princeton. During the early parts of last year, Princeton was not interested in collaborating with us with regard to that. So we are in the middle of a contract term, and it's up in April, and we are seeking to renew it and we'll continue. That's going to be continuing on our radar when it becomes to make sense to us to go in-house. We are at the point now, I think financially, where we're not quite there yet, but we may be sometime in the future. And I'm working with the chief with regard to ensuring the quality of the services provided by that vendor. And that's why we're seeking for it to be renewed at this time.
Are we negotiating? I know that they're the only
It's
one.
by contract. It's already been approved of for the last
Very
contract.
good,
yeah.
thank you.
Are there any
One.
other questions?
Madam Mayor, may I have a clarification on 18G2, which is in reference to the employee group health plan? I know I had sent you out a question about that.
What's the question? I don't know if that's the right, what is
Which
it?
one is it?
I don't think that's the right number.
That's
G1?
what, G1. No, this is the employee program. That's what you had cited in the email.
It's not G1.
Mhm.
It's G.
G1 is the grant application.
No, G2. That's
We don't
what
have a
G2.
G2.
I'm looking at Mr. Lewinsky's
This is,
email.
So this is a part of our budget process where we are required to make payments to our health insurance to the state. And this this allows us to make that timely payment.
Just for, if we could just pause for one moment, because 11A-B is not listed in our agenda. So I just want to get some clarification. Madam Clerk.
I don't have a G2. So,
For clarification, what I was discussing was 18H1.
Temporary budget.
It's a temporary budget.
oh, okay, H1.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you did get my email.
Yeah.
Providing you with the reason behind it, right?
Correct. I just wanted it on the record.
Yep.
Thank you.
So during 18H1, to authorizing amending the 2024 temporary budget. And we have gotten some clarification on that. Is it to your satisfaction?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So with our motion in our second, are we ready to call the roll?
Okay. Mr. Bobbin?
Yes.
Mr. Kaneki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Farman?
Yes, and thank you for the clarification and the good questions. Okay. Now we have the council initiatives and liaison reports. I don't believe there are any. Seeing none, do we have any written communication, Madam Clerk? Nope, no written communication. right?
No written
Oh, okay.
communication.
All right, with that, the council, we are closing. We're closing out the session.
Madam,
I would like to make a
you
motion.
need a motion.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session.
Second.
The motion and second, Madam Clerk.
You're good.
All in favor? Okay, and with that, we will adjourn for the evening. Thank you so much for all of the presentations. The public participation.
No, we aren't adjourned.
Welcome back.
Okay, sounds good. Take care.
Great presentation.
Have a good night.
So when are we planning our next coffee with Kyle?
Coming up in probably March or April.
March or April, okay. Oh, definitely. I went out to support my friends in Trent. I don't want to get in trouble. So I gotta be there.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Great job. Looking forward to it.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. See you, Mr. Cleet. Be careful.
I know, it's like they know they're the only, it's like they know they're the only game in town.
Well, that's what it was.
I think it's $300,000.
We did work over the.
I know.
Take your time. City of Chicago.
Hey, how are you, Cindy? Hey, Peter, I have a question for you. You're the IT guy too, right? So,